This is everything I read this month as a non-mood reader who is finally out of a reading slump. I exclusively read on my Kindle. I have this very, very cute Kindle case that has both a stand and a backstrap. Totally worth it. The first book I read was Apples Never Fall by Leanne Moriarty. It was my first Leanne Moriarty book, and I actually liked it a lot more than I expected to. I've seen some of her miniseries. She also did Big Little Lies and Seven Perfect Strangers. It wasn't as spooky as I expected it to be given the other ones. It was like, I guess there was a little undercurrent of spookiness, but I would certainly not consider it a thriller. I would recommend it to anybody who likes Taylor Jenkins Reid books. It's a little bit more family drama, like maybe similar to Malibu Rising in the family drama. It is individual POV, family drama, good classic modern fiction, a little bit of romance, not a ton. Pretty clean, I would say. Nothing, I can't really remember, honestly. Nothing really noticeable to me. I gave Apples Never Fall 4 stars. Next, I read The Real Americans. It's definitely literary fiction. It kind of reads like an epic. You get thoughts from multiple generations. The story spans many, many years. It was very interesting and had really interesting components. I would recommend this if you're looking for a thought-provoking book, a thought-provoking morality book, something to discuss with a book club, but not necessarily something if you're just looking for a fun story. I didn't find it all that satisfactory because of the way it was written. I feel like I just wanted more of everything. The characters were only like semi-likable to me, which I have a hard time with. So I also gave that one 4 stars. I had a little bit of higher hopes for it. I was hoping for a 5-star, but overall, still very interesting. Would love to discuss with somebody. If you've read it, DM me. Next, I read one of my only, perhaps the only 5-star read of this year, which was a nonfiction book called Die with Zero. It is a personal finance book about the idea of getting all you can out of both your life and your money. So rather than just saving perpetually for a rainy day or for retirement, balancing your future with your present and trying to make sure that when you've reached the end of your life, you don't have as many regrets and you feel fulfilled. This book is, and the author says it many, many times, it's specifically for people who have extendable incomes. If that's you, it could be very interesting. It's definitely targeted more towards people in their 50s, but I do feel like the earlier you read it, the more you can take his advice into account. I would recommend it to anybody who feels like they are financially risk averse or who recognizes that they tend to be like penny pinchers to the point of like impacting maybe some fun things that you could do or your personal enjoyment. It was really enlightening to me. I definitely am a little bit of a penny pincher, so it was really helpful to kind of reframe what the point of money is and the value of like my youth and my health and how I can spend money to gain the best of my life while I'm young. Again, I give it 5 stars. I read this book in 2 days, which is how you know I'm out of a reading slump, and that is We All Live Here. This was also my first Jojo Moyes book. I haven't read any of her other stuff. I also don't think I've seen any of the movies, so came into it without understanding anything, and I ended up really liking it. It feels very similar to a Beth O'Leary, so still the undercurrent of romance, but with a lot more plot going on, which is a style of beach read or light read that I really prefer as a break to literary fiction. I would definitely consider it women's fiction. There's romance, but there's a lot of other interesting relationships and connections there. I would recommend this if you like any of Jennifer Weiner's books. I personally do, or again, the Beth O'Leary's. I gave this one 4 stars, and she's like an author that's on my radar now. I would read more of her books. The last book that I read, which puts us at 5 books for this month, which is good because I'm still trying to catch up to my reading goal. The last book that I read, and I finished it on quite literally the last day, is Orbital. I did not pick this book. I'm not really a big sci-fi, fantasy, any of that stuff. I recently learned about cli-fi, climate fiction. I don't read a lot of any of that, but my family has a book club. Somebody picked it, so I read it. This one is short, and I do think I didn't remember this until I'd like already picked up and put down the book multiple times, but I'm pretty sure I heard that if you read it in one sitting, you will like it significantly better than if you read it in multiple sittings. I obviously forgot that, and I read it in multiple sittings, and it was okay. I gave it like a 3.5 because I recognize that it's a very beautifully written book. There's a lot of really poetic elements and interesting thoughts, but it did not put me in a reading slump, but it seriously slowed me down, and I was doing basically anything besides reading because it wasn't that interesting to me compared with the book that I read in 2 days where all I did was read. I would recommend this though if you're interested in science fiction, if you're interested in space in particular, but also in books that discuss the earth and its beauty in a poetic way. I haven't read the Overstory, but it seems like it would be along a similar vein. And that's that. That's everything that I read this month. I will say I'm pretty happy with that pace. I think it's good. I didn't read a single physical book, and I don't really have a goal to read physical books, but I have a lot that I haven't read. I have a lot of nonfiction in particular that I haven't read. So I do think I need to start sprinkling those in to potentially narrow down my bookshelf, or at least have read everything I own, because that's the state that I would prefer to live in. If you disagree with any of my takes, let me know and try to convince me to change my star rating. Otherwise, I am still searching for my #1 book of the year, my 5-star. I think My Brilliant Friend is on my Kindle, so that might be a contender. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.